Yo, what is up, guys? Mike Thomas, aka the Young Churchill here, and I'm back once again with Twitch chat. They're still over here. Say hi to them because nobody else will. And finally, I have brought you guys a long-awaited video, and by long-awaited, I probably mean like 3 or 4 days at this point. Like it's like 3 or 4 days. But if you remember the Trish chat lore, it was maybe a month or two ago. I posted about the Super Heavy Samurai Dragon Link Dragoonity like combo deck thing. That's been a work in progress for a little while now, and we have finally sat down, grinded out the games, and got that deck up to Master 1 on a fresh account, starting from scratch. And it has been an absolutely insane journey. And I do want to just come and give you guys an update as to where the deck is at, because I think we've refined it a little bit, got it a little bit cleaner, a little bit, more to the point than it was before. You guys can go see in some previous videos, there were combo replays, etc. I'm not going over those. This is just an update to the deck list. So if you want to go see the combos, go check the previous videos. There's like 2 videos on this deck already. Go check those, because they have the combos. The combos are already on the channel. Don't go comment and say, where combo? It's on the channel. Just go look for it. But anyway, before we hop into that, just a couple quick things to discuss. First is I need you guys to go down into the comment section, leave me a little comment, say hi to the Twitch chat, like, comment, subscribe, etc. Also, to go check out untap.gg, the deck tracker for Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel is completely free to download using our link, and also helps us out a lot, so go do that. You guys are pretty good about downloading it, but keep doing it because it's super cool. It's a great tool, adds a lot of useful tools like importing and exporting decks into the game, which should just be in the game already, but also allows you to track your stats and compare yourself to like your local meta. So pretty useful overall, and you can get it for free down using the link in our description. Also, this video is not sponsored by HelloFresh, but our streams currently are. So if you are interested in HelloFresh, which is America's #1 meal kit, we do have a code for that. So go check that out down in the description as well. I think it comes out to like 12 free meals or something like that. They have free breakfast items. They're actually pretty good. The breakfast burritos, I really like those. So go get those. Anyway, though, that all said, let's get into the deck profile, because I know that that's what you guys are here for. You're going to skip to this point in the video anyway. But don't do that, because then you miss out on all the fun, cool announcements that I make at the start of the video. And who knows, maybe I'll sneak something in there one time, so don't skip that. Anyway, here's the deck. I'm going to go through this. This is a 60 card pile. So there's a lot of cards in here. So if you're not familiar with all these cards, don't worry, because again, untap.gg has you covered. If you go down into our Discord, and I'll put it in the description of this video as well, you can actually copy the deck string, and untap.gg will just import the deck for you. It'll create the deck list for you, so you don't have to know what the name of every single one of these cards are by looking at the video if you don't want to. But I'm here, I'll go through them, I'll name them off, I'll show them to you, and I'll kind of explain their role in the deck and whatnot. So starting off the deck, if you've been following this deck, you might realize that this deck is a little bit different than it was the last time I posted it, which was earlier this week. When we started the climb, I don't know, I recorded that video like a week or two ago. I don't really remember what it was now, but it went up this week, and now we are posting the update because there has been an update to the Forbidden and Limited list, as well as the available card pool. As some of you guys might know, Transaction Rollback is now in the game, so Labyrinth is a lot better than it was before, as well as also hitting the Soul Piercer in the deck, because this deck does play a Super Heavy Samurai engine. So we're just going to make some adjustments for those. So let's start off with the Super Heavy Samurai cards, because you might be wondering, why are there Super Heavy Samurai cards in Dragon Link? Well, if you didn't already know, Wakaushi is a pretty good card, and lets you do a lot of stuff that you might not really expect it to be able to do. And one of those things is that it gives you full Dragon Link combo plus a Baron. Which is really funny. So every super heavy samurai card that you see in this deck list will give you the full combo. It gives you full combo plus a Baron on top of it. It basically summons 2 dragons plus a Baron, which just lets you do anything in your deck, which is really powerful. And they also allow you to bait out interruptions. Something that's really good about this deck in Master Duel is that because you're playing in a best of 1 scenario, your opponent has to play as if you're just playing super heavy samurai, because they don't know that you're playing a Dragon Link deck. So one of the things that this deck is really good at doing is baiting out hand traps by using the super heavy samurai cards, and then suddenly pivoting and saying, okay, you've hand trapped me 2 or 3 times, I'm going to now discard Remus and start playing Dragunity. And it's always very funny when it happens. So going through the super heavy cards, we play 3 of the motorbike. This is just the Rota for the deck. We play 3 of the wagon. This is another Rota for the deck. It's not Rota, it's more like Stratos. We played 2 Soul Piercer because this one just went to 2 from 3. I know, very impactful hit that they've done to this engine. That's why it still managed to do so well for us. So you know, impactful hits. And then we play 3 Wakaushi as well, which is kind of like a Rota for the deck. You might be sensing a theme here when it comes with these super heavy samurai cards. Big Benki, this one is actually a Rota, because it searches. Wakaushi just gets you the Rota and gives you a body as well. So you know, all of these cards, they give you everything that you need. So all of these cards are starters in the deck, so we can count all of these as our starters. And I think that, and I forgot to mention this one last time, but we play the 1 Soul Peacemaker as well as the 1 Scales. So if you think about it, all of the super heavies are the starters, and then you play the 1 Scales and the 1 Soul Peacemaker so that you can go into the Dragon Engine after making your Baron. So if you think about it, all of the other super heavy cards make the Baron, and then these ones make your Dragon Link stuff. Moving on to the Dragon Link stuff, we have everybody's favorite normal summon Black Metal Dragon. Black Metal, very solid card. It's 2 dragons. And we played the 1 target for it, the Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon. I don't remember if I was playing Meteor when I posted the list last, but we are not playing it now if I was before. So honestly, you don't really go through the Meteor Dragon in this deck, because you're not going to be summoning back the Black Metal with the Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon. Most of the time, you're going to be summoning back the Dragunity Knight Gator and not actually starting with the Black Metal Dragon. That's something that you might not think about when playing Dragon Link, is that Black Metal Dragon isn't really your best normal summon. So like, if you have Black Metal Dragon and Soul Piercer, you're going to normal summon the Soul Piercer, because Soul Piercer is a much better normal summon, and you will still get to the Black Metal eventually. So really, all the Black Metal is doing is just getting the Red MD, and Red MD is getting back the Gatorg. If you're not summoning back Gatorg with the Red MD, it's losing a little bit of its value. So it's not as much of a starter as you might think, but when you don't already have the Gatorg, it's still full Dragon Link combo. It's still Black Metal Dragon, so it's still not a bad card to play at 3 at all. But with that said, you might notice that we're not playing cards like Seifert, because we're not really doing as much like mid-rangey Dragon Link stuff in this deck as we would in other Dragon Link decks. So it's mostly just like, we play this one because it's the starter. Seifert's not really a starter anymore, so we don't need to play it at all. So that is those. Then on top of that, we play the 3 Dragunity Remus. This is kind of like the heart and soul of the deck. If you've ever played Dragunity, you would know that Remus is the card that makes Dragunity function as a deck independent of like dragons. And what Remus does is it is basically terraforming for Dragon Ravine, but it also has the ability to summon itself back. So it's pretty nice in that regard, but it has the kind of harsh restriction of locking you into dragons. Thankfully, this is a dragon deck, so that's not too bad of a restriction for us. But that's usually the main downside, is that it locks you into dragons. So we play 3 of this, obviously, and 3 Ravine as well to try and search it, because Remus is the card that you need to see all the time. So everything in this deck is trying to get you to the Remus. That's part of why the Super Heavies are here, is because you need the Baron to protect your Remus. If your Remus isn't protected, you feel very, very scared. And having the protection from the Super Heavies makes Remus feel a lot safer. So 3 Remus, obviously. Alongside the Remus, we play the 1 Legatus and the 1 Mistletoe. Legatus combos with the Remus. It's just a special summonable winged beast that you can use with Remus to synchro for Gaydurg, which is the whole point of the deck. Is just make Gaydurg and summon it as many times as possible, so you have to play Legatus. Mistletoe also is another card that it doesn't come up all the time in your combo. You're not always summoning Mistletoe, but we do play Mistletoe along with the Dragoonity Glow engine, because sometimes you already have your Remus. Like, sometimes you don't need to search like a 4th Dragon Ravine. Like, you have a bunch of these, you know, you resolve this card like 3-4 times in a turn. You don't need to do that another time. So this card allows you to go into the Dragoonity, or the Heretic King Atum, by summoning it and then attaching the Gaydurg and using Glow to special the Gaydurg and making the Atum. And that's really, really strong. So just one of the other cards that you play. But that's it for the Dragoonity stuff. And then for the other Dragon Link cards that you play, it's really just the classic 2 Tracer, 1 Recharger, and an Absolrator. Just a concise little rocket package, and the rockets are really nice because they let you synchro summon, obviously, make your Savage, make your Dispatters, whatever, but also because you want to be summoning that Recharger as an extra Monster Reborn to set up your Buster Lock towards the end of your turn. And that is very, very important for this deck. You can set up the full board without these, though it is much, much harder. It is significantly harder. But something that is, worth noting on that point is that Wakaushi is a level 4 Dark tuner. So Wakaushi is basically extra copies of Tracer. So you should be able to get into your synchros pretty easily with this build of the deck. And then now, I know we're kind of jumping all over the place. I wish we could sort these deck lists a little bit better on Master Duel. But that's pretty much it. Oh, I'm sorry. I've totally forgotten the Bystials. We play a Bystial package. We play 1 Magnema, 1 Juris Worm, and 3 Lubellion. I didn't want to play a Saronir. You could have played a Saronir here if you wanted to, but this deck's kind of just opting to go first. But honestly, it's up to you. You could play 1 Saronir over the 3rd Lubellion if you wanted. Maybe just give yourself an extra defensive card into like Branded if you're afraid of that matchup. But the idea here is that these cards are really, really strong with this engine because obviously Gaydurg is a level 6 dragon. So opening a Bystial and opening a way into Gaydurg gets you into Atum. So whenever you open, Lubellion plus like super heavy, you should have the super full board and like 6 cards in hand, and you play through as many hand traps as you need to play through. Like as a combination, like any super heavy and Lubellion should just get you everything like all the time. Like you should not struggle. Even through like stuff like Nib, like you should not be struggling if you have that as your opening hand. So we just wanted to max out on that, and it was a nice little replacement for the Soul Piercer that went to 2 recently. And then now finally, just to clean up the deck list, it's really just at this point random little guys like that are filling specific roles. So let's talk about them. We obviously play the Dragon Buster Destruction Sword. This is kind of the point of this build of the deck, is to lock your opponent out of the extra deck. If you've never seen this card before, this is the card that Dragon Link kind of like lived and died by for a while when Union Carrier was in the game. And it just, it locks your opponent out of the extra deck. It's a Vanity's Emptiness. And that's really strong. But, it's kind of hard to pull off because we don't have Union Carriers. So how do you get this card onto the field to lock your opponent out of the extra deck? Well, you use a really funny card called DMZ Dragon, and DMZ Dragon is a card that is basically Union Carrier, but it only works for level 4 or lower dragons. Funnily enough, this is a level 4 or lower dragon. Who would have thought? That's crazy. So you can use DMZ Dragon to attach the Buster Whelp to something and just apply the Buster Lock. It's pretty straightforward. How are you getting the DMZ on the field? Well, you're summoning it back usually with Recharger's effect by activating it in your hand, and by adding it to your hand, by popping Striker Dragon using its own effect. So kind of at the end of your turn, you're going to be going like Tracer, summon the Recharger, make a Striker, pop the itself, get the Recharger, summon the DMZ, attach the Buster Lock to something, then synchro it off, make a Savage. That's the idea there. And obviously you get access to these cards through the Gatorg, because Gatorg is not a once per turn, or a hard once per turn, because this is a good card created before hard once per turn was invented, and it just can foolish all of your dragons just for free. So you're just, the idea is to just summon this repeatedly, search the specific pieces you need, and then set it up at the end of the turn. As for the other one-of dragons, I don't think there are any. I think the only real other one-of is just the Zephyros the Elite. Something that you'll definitely notice if you watch the last video is I'm no longer playing Samsara Dragon or a second copy of Heretic Seals, and it's because I realized as I was playing the deck more that going for those Samsara Dragon lines were just causing me to misplay, and they were just completely unnecessary to building the board. So they were really helpful when I was first learning the deck and I was making a lot of mistakes, but like 300-ish games later, I was no longer making mistakes with this deck, and I said, okay, I don't need these cards. And we managed to we trim a little bit of the fat and replace them with like stuff like Effect Veiler, which was a hand trap that I don't think was in the previous deck list. So just a little bit of fine tuning at that point. So yeah, I think I've covered every monster. This deck list is a huge pile, so it's hard to visually track where I'm at with this deck. Sorry, guys. But moving on to the hand traps, it's not a huge lineup, but we do have a lineup of 3 Maxi, 3 Ash, 2 Gamma. These are the initial ones that, you just kind of have to play these because, you're playing a super heavy style deck. You need your Max C package and as many cards that can potentially beat Max C as possible. So we're going to play those. And then we only really have 3 slots for hand traps after that. So we play 2 Veiler, 1 Nibiru. Unfortunately, this deck can't run Imperm because it would turn off all of your super heavy cards, which is really unfortunate because I queued into a lot of Cash Tira during the climb, like pure Cash Tira, and they would just go for a Rise Heart and pass, and I would just have to scoop to that because there was no chance of me drawing Imperm. So I had no way to beat just a single Rise Heart. It was a little bit annoying, but, sometimes you just have to take a bad matchup. And that's just how it was. And overall, though, I think this deck had pretty decent success going second. I'll check my replays. I think I have a replay for you guys that I saved because people always comment and they say, what does this deck do going second? And the answer is usually just kill the opponent. Speaking of, I should actually mention that. So DMZ Dragon patches up a lot of holes in this deck because not only does it equip the Buster Lock and, lock them out of the extra deck for going first, for going second, this card is Boral Sword Dragon, just very randomly. So if a monster has an equipped card to it and it attacks, you can banish DMZ from your graveyard to make it attack again in a row. So it can attack again. So very, very, very useful effect. And I'm glad that I remembered to tell you guys about that because that's kind of the game plan when you go second is to summon a bunch of dudes and then make a Savage Dragon or something and then attack. And then because Savage Dragon has an equipped monster, it attacks again and it gets you more damage. So this deck can actually put out a ton of damage that you wouldn't expect it to be able to put up. because it's not summoning stuff like Access Code or Boros Sword or cards like that. It can just attack multiple times thanks to DMZ. So shoutouts to DMZ Dragon for making this deck work. Now moving on to the extra deck. I know that might... I'm sorry. Talking about the spells real quick. Sorry, I'm all over the place in this video. Dragoonity Glow. Obviously, we talked about this. This is to search the Mistletoe, do the Mistletoe play. The 3 Ravine. Obviously, just want as many copies of Remus as possible. The 1 Boot Sector, you have to play it. The 1 Branded Regain. This is the target for Lubellion. We're not playing Beast in this deck because there's just... You're doing so much. Like, on your end board, you don't need Beast, and you don't usually have a Bystial to tribute off either. The only Bystial on your field that you would tribute off is Dispatter, which usually has the Buster Lock equipped to it, so it's not the smartest. So no Beast. And then just 2 Quick Launch and the 3 Maxi Hate cards, the 2 Call By and Crossout. Fun fact about the Super Heavies, by the way, if you're concerned, you can use Called By and Crossout against hand traps while doing Super Heavy plays, because the only Super Heavy cards that care about having spell traps in the grave are Wakaushi, Bike, Wagon, and Scarecrow. But notice of all the 3 that I said, you're going to be starting with those cards. So unless they just like shotgun Maxi in your standby phase, these cards have already activated by the time you would like chain a Called By or a Crossout. So like if you go Wakaushi in Pen Scale and you go Wakaushi effect special, and they chain Maxi and you chain Called By, you're fine. Because the Wakaushi still resolves, and then you're just like Benkai effect. Okay. Summon, like search the level 4 guy, make the Scarecrow, get the Soul Peacemaker, do whatever, blah blah blah. Keep playing. You're fine. So just as a note, like these cards are still useful even when you are playing with the super heavy stuff. Now for the extra deck, we have the Gator. This is the Heart and Soul in the deck. Like I've mentioned, this is basically Lavavel Chain. It just sends a level 4 or lower Dragon or Wing Beast monster, which is crazy. You know, you summon this card like 4 times. I think it is 4 times. You summon it the first time to dump Zephyros, then to dump Ringo Worm, which I don't remember if I mentioned. This is just better than the Baby Rock, so don't play Baby Rock ever. Just always play this card instead. Then after this, you dump like DMZ or Buster Whitlock, and then the other piece. So yeah, it's those 4 times. That's what this card is dumping. Very, very cool card. Savage Dragon, of course, just Omni Negate. The Excel Synchro Stardust, so that you can make your Baron de Fleur when using the Super Heavy engine. Dispatter, obviously, just to, you know, it's Dispatter. This is usually what's taking the Buster Lock, as well as also, you know, being an interaction itself, and also a Monster Reborn, so really, really good card. And then Raid Raptor Force Tricks. So this might seem a little bit weird in the deck if you're unfamiliar, but this is kind of how you get into your full combo. You're going to go for the standard Super Heavy opener, which if you need a refresher on, you know, I have videos on the channel explaining not only this combo, but Super Heavy combos just in general. So go find the videos. They're on the channel. But you're going to make your Baron, and then you're going to have a Scarecrow on the field, and you're going to have the Soul Peacemaker in your hand. You're going to Soul Peacemaker into Scales. Scales is going to summon back a guy, and then you overlay for Force Tricks. You Pendulum summon out the Zephyros the Elite that you search with Force Tricks, and then Romulus, fun fact, is 2 Dragon or Winged Beast monsters, so you can just use the Zephyros the Elite and the Force Tricks to go into Romulus. This is also really convenient because Gatorg needs a Winged Beast non-tuner to be summoned, so Zephyros also functions as your synchro material for Gatorg. So very, very, very strong, and, you know, Force Tricks is very, very good for that reason. Shout out to it being generic for some reason. Heroic King of a Tomb, this is LP. It just takes 2 level 6 dragons, which we do play in Gatorg plus any Bystial and also Mistletoe. So Atum comes up quite a bit. You're usually going for this, and you're probably going to summon out Black Metal Dragon if you don't already have it. And, you know, that's just another summon of Gatorg. That is just another Gatorg. So, very, very good card. And then for the Link monsters, we, of course, play the one Scarecrow. You have to play it for the super heavy stuff, but you don't want to play multiple because this isn't a super heavy deck. This is Dragon Link, and we're only using the super heavy cards to get us into the Dragon Link stuff with protection. So don't get it confused. For the other Link ones, we play the 2-Striker and the Pisty. You're going to be going through these in your turn 1 play. You don't always go through 2-Striker, but you need to have the second one just in case, because you might need to go through 2 on your first turn, and it's also your follow-up, so good ratio. Then you play the 1 Seal. This is brought down and from the previous posting of the deck list. It was at 2 previously. I've brought it down to 1 because we don't play Samsara Dragon anymore. So you don't need it anymore. You just don't need it. So just the 1 Seal. 1 Romulus, of course. Romulus just searches you your Dragon Ravine or your Glow. I mean, it's Romulus. We're playing Dragon Link. You have to play it. And then you can see that the extra deck's a little bit tight. So we don't have space to play stuff like Dark Charmer or Triple Burst. So instead we play Saryuya Skull Dread, because this card is very funny and also very good in this deck, because you end up with a lot of bodies that you can just kind of link off into Saryuya and then fix your hand and then special out a monster. And then, you know, it has lots of good zones for Pisty. And then you go into Pisty, and then you get back Gatorg again, and then you Gatorg dump again, and blah, 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 blah. You know, so Saryuya, very, very good. The hand fix is nice as well, because sometimes, you know, if you're desperate, you know, you can hero dig for the card that you need, kind of like a Prosperity. Or if you just have a bunch of super heavy cards in your hand that you don't need anymore, you can just draw into hand traps and just replace them. Which is funny, because when you set up a board that is already very difficult to break, you know, the fact that you can just draw into hand traps on top of it is just very, very disgusting. And then for the final slot, this is very requested, and I'm glad that we finally were able to get it into the deck list, and that is the 1 Boralen Dragon. This card you don't make very much in this deck list, because when you go first, it is not a part of your end board. However, it is very good for going second. Something that I noticed a lot when playing this deck going second was that it could be really awkward sometimes to try and beat a board when you don't have stuff like access code. So Borland was our answer to that, and just said, well, if I can't OTK them, I can at least guarantee that I'm destroying every monster on their field and setting up like a Savage or something behind this and just saying good luck. And that proved to be pretty effective. Excuse me. But it's also really good into like the Snake Eye matchup, because a lot of players will put their Snake Eye monsters in attack mode, and like they'll summon a bunch of monsters on the field, and you just say, okay, that's fine. And then you might go Baron pop the field spell. Now they're all like 400 attack monsters, or 500, 800, whatever it is. And then you summon a Borland and you go 27, 27, 27, attack, game. Easy peasy. So Borland was really, really nice for us. So I was glad that I was able to make the space for it. Yeah. I think overall the deck list was pretty solid. Give it a try. This is a lot of fun to play. I'm glad that Dragon Link can still do things, even if it has to rely on, you know, cards that some people might say, oh, that's not Dragon Link, it's super heavy, blah, 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 blah. It's still Dragon Link stuff. You don't need the super heavy cards to do any of the stuff that this deck does. They just provide a little bit of extra cushioning to make sure that the deck actually succeeds at doing what it's supposed to do. So yeah, so let me know what you think about this deck. I had a lot of fun playing it. Oh, I forgot, actually, hold on, before I end the video, I forgot to do this in the previous video, just to show you guys, because I'm sure that there, like, if you've made it to this point in the video, you already believe in the vision, but there's always going to be the doubters out there that are like, oh, this deck is not that good, you're just selling us the dreams. Not only are we Master 1, let's look at our stats. Number of standard duels being 354. Number 1 was 233, which is let's just see what that is for this entire account's win rate. This entire account has a 65.82% average win rate. So that's not bad at all. Whatever. Goodbye.